take out the garbage.
I'm deeming 2019 the year of Dark Souls. And it's not just because my friend Dan played it for the first time. I played so much fucking Dark Souls in 2019 I want to throw up. Now I know a new entry in the Dark Souls series didn't come out, but what we did get was the Kmart ripoffs, and 2019 was the fucking value pack. We got Samurai Dark Souls, Sci-Fi Dark Souls, Star Wars Dark Souls, Pixel Dark Souls, Samurai Dark Souls, Co-op Dark Souls, Catholic Dark Souls, Zelda Dark Souls, Anime Dark Souls, Low Poly Dark Souls. We also got some news on exciting upcoming titles such as Samurai Dark Souls, Game of Thrones Guy Dark Souls, Terrible Dark Souls, Pixel Dark Souls, Diablo Dark Souls, Samurai Dark Souls, plus a bunch of other crap that isn't really worth mentioning. 9 times out of 10, these games miss any number of points of what made the original great, so they're just kind of bland. Dark Souls was like a well-oiled machine. Take 1 or 2 pieces out and the whole thing falls apart. I could go on and on about this, but I won't. That's not this video. If you're a 1 or 2 man indie dev team, you can't make Dark Souls. Don't try. I'll leave it at that. What I will do is tell you which previous 3 piles of trash are worth mentioning and why. The best part about this game is its art direction. It has a particular style you don't often see outside of tabletop games for weirdos, which is astounding considering their last game looked like Space Quest. This game was a perfect blend of Metroidvania exploration with Dark Souls bonfires. My only issue with this game were the various bugs when I played it, like being unable to wall hang after getting hit, or encountering invincible enemies. I don't know if these were intentional balancing features or not, but I hated them regardless. I hope they release DLC or something for this game. It may have been one of my favorite releases of the year. It was suitably bloody and gory, which you don't often see these days. Not much needs to be said for this game. Go and play it for yourself if you haven't already. Also, check out this rack. You don't see this in those Nintendo games no more. Next up is Decay of Logos. This game is a buggy mess. It got really negative coverage in its first week from review sites because the review build that was sent out didn't really work, which is a shame because I kind of liked this game. If anything, this should illustrate to you how important first impressions are with your game. If it has a rocky first week, no one is going to give a shit as your product page gets pushed further and further back into the crevices of online storefronts. I don't know if it was publisher pressure or if the devs were antsy to get their product out there, but it was not done cooking yet. This game did something I thought was really cool. As you explore, you look for these hidden runes throughout the world. They're QR codes you can scan with a phone. You get a secret phrase, and once you find them all, there's some instructions leading you to a website where you email an address and answer some questions. Real cereal box shit. I loved every second of it. Reminded me of Star Tropics with less water. Anyway, I spent hours doing this, and those fuckers never got back to me. Expect to hear from us in the future. Well, I'm waiting. At times you could really tell this was made by a small dedicated team, in both good ways and bad. There was a lot of mystery to the game and a lot to discover. And really that's what Dark Souls is all about, discovery. But as I said before, there's a lot of bugs that hold it back, and sometimes it feels like the combat and mechanics are barely working, if that. Ashen could have been really good, but it wasn't. Instead, it was middling. The environments and the climbing and exploration are all really on point for an indie game like this. The remnants of the world really feel like there was something once here, but it's gone now. I also really like the contrast between the large outdoor sprawling environments and the claustrophobic dark caves. What brings it down are the enemies. There's like 3 of them. They should have renamed this game Hobo Assault Simulator, cause that's really all you do. Beat up homeless people who wear rags. Dark Souls wouldn't have been any fun if the enemies were limited to just the zombie men. The game wouldn't have been difficult, and the areas wouldn't have felt dangerous because you wouldn't know what to expect. That's part of Ashen's problems too, its difficulty. The only trick they have up their sleeves is to give late game grifters more health and do more damage. The same strategy of block, attack, attack, attack still works, but it just takes longer. Ashen could have used less work in its dumb NPC co-op system and more work in making the game fun. All in all, 2019 was a pretty good year for video games, and for Dark Souls lovers in particular. I think 2020 is going to bring even more of these types of titles. I think at this point, though, the bad is beginning to outweigh the good. Sooner or later, the market is going to get oversaturated with Souls-likes, and everyone's going to get sick of it. It happened with music games and FPSs. Sooner or later, it won't be trendy to make a Souls-like, and everyone will move on to something else. And all that will be left are the flagship series and a handful of indie releases. Personally, I hope Dark Souls 4 doesn't happen. Or if it does, it doesn't happen anytime soon. Dark Souls 3 already felt like a regurgitation of what we already played, and I can't imagine what new ideas, if any, Dark Souls 4 would bring to the table. I know Miyazaki is busy working with that fat guy on a new game, but even those trailers aren't getting me excited. It looks to be playing on themes of light and dark and fire and shadow and lots of people with one arm. Where have we seen this before? Well, here's to 2020 and a whole bunch more video games I'll hate playing.